Did you know that after the conflict in Ukraine began, the cost of some foods shot up by 30% to 50%? It's true. Suddenly, the price of cooking oil or a loaf of bread felt heavier. This wasn't just a local problem. It was a global shock that reached kitchen tables thousands of miles away. What happens in one part of the world doesn't stay there. It travels through invisible economic highways and ends up right on your bill. A conflict in Eastern Europe can directly impact a family's budget in Africa, Asia, the Americas. This isn't just about numbers on a screen, it's about people. The war itself is a humanitarian crisis, with millions displaced and lives turned upside down. But the economic fallout created a second wave of hardship. We're talking about food, the fuel that powers our cars and homes, and the stability of our jobs. The main issue is that Ukraine and Russia are major players in the global market. Think of them as the world's breadbasket. They supply a massive share of the world's wheat, corn, and sunflower oil. Before the war, ships filled with these goods sailed from Black Sea ports to feed millions across the globe. When those ports were blocked and fields became battlegrounds, that supply chain was severed. It's like a major highway being shut down during rush hour. The traffic jam causes delays and frustration for everyone, and the cost of finding a new route goes up for all. This sudden scarcity sent prices soaring. For many families, especially in developing nations that rely heavily on food imports, the jump was devastating. A 30% increase in the price of flour isn't just an inconvenience. It can mean the difference between eating a full meal or going without. Data showed that global food prices hit record highs. Ukraine and Russia together account for roughly a quarter of the world's wheat exports. When that supply was disrupted, countries in the Middle East and North Africa faced a crisis. They had to scramble to find new, more expensive suppliers. Sunflower oil prices skyrocketed because Ukraine is the world's largest exporter. Then there's the fuel. Russia is a massive energy exporter for oil and natural gas. Europe relied heavily on Russian energy to heat homes and run industry. Sanctions and war rewired the global energy map. Countries rushed to find alternatives. US liquefied natural gas. Qatar. Demand for non-Russian energy surged and drove prices up everywhere. So when the gas pump climbed, the conflict was a major reason. Higher fuel costs make everything more expensive to produce and transport. Expensive food plus expensive fuel hit businesses hard. Factories needing natural gas saw bills explode. Those increased costs aren't absorbed by companies. They get passed down to the consumer. The overall effect, a slowdown in the global economy. Trade volume dipped. The IMF and others lowered global GDP forecasts. The world economy, still recovering from the pandemic, got hit again. That created a dangerous mix: rising prices, slowing economic growth. Experts call it stagflation. It feels like you're running slower but getting tired faster. Let's look closer at the supply chain. A supply chain is just the journey a product takes from where it's made to you. For wheat, that journey used to be simple. From a farm in Ukraine, to a silo, to a ship in the Black Sea, and then to a port in another country. The war broke multiple links in that chain. Ports were blocked, ships were at risk, and insurance costs for vessels entering the region became astronomical. Even when a temporary deal was brokered to allow grain shipments, the flow was never as smooth or reliable as it was before. The system was damaged, and repairing that trust and infrastructure takes a long time. The problem wasn't just about the final product. Russia and Belarus are major producers of key fertilizer components like potash. When sanctions and logistical chaos cut off that supply, farmers worldwide faced a shortage. Without enough fertilizer, crop yields decline. So, even in countries far from the conflict, farmers were producing less food, which only added to the global shortage and pushed prices even higher. It's a domino effect. A problem with one key ingredient can topple an entire agricultural system. On the energy side, the shifts were dramatic and rapid. Europe, in a historic pivot, raced to wean itself off Russian gas. This meant building new terminals to receive LNG, signing long-term deals with new suppliers, and investing heavily in renewable energy. But these are not overnight fixes. The long-term consequences of this shock are still unfolding. We are seeing a redrawing of the global trade and energy map. For example, Europe is now importing much more LNG from the US across the Atlantic. Russia is redirecting its oil and gas exports eastward. China, India. These deals are often at discounted prices. New routes are longer and more expensive, adding transportation costs. The new map creates winners and losers. Energy exporting nations outside Russia have seen revenues soar. Energy importing developing countries have been hit hardest. They must compete with wealthier nations for limited, expensive supplies. Many are pushed to the brink of economic crisis. The risk of debt defaults has risen in several nations. The war has exacerbated global inequality. Poorer countries are more vulnerable. Energy markets remain sensitive to any disruption. Food security depends on the war's outcomes and on climate change. The war in Ukraine was a seismic shock to the global economy. It severed critical supply chains for food and fuel. That triggered effects from soaring inflation to a redrawn energy map. The impacts are felt worldwide, showing our shared vulnerability. We are navigating a new reality that is more expensive, less predictable, fraught with new challenges. We must understand these changes to prepare. How can the world build more resilient economic systems to better withstand future shocks? What do you think? Will global economies bounce back soon? Or are we headed into a long period of economic instability? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to watch my next video, diving into how global conflicts reshape everyday life.